talk about doctrinal accuracy. Now, as members of the church, we are also members of societies in which we live. And having a lay clergy, the church does not coach its members about their social, cultural, or political views. The church teaches the gospel of Jesus Christ as contained in the scriptures and in the words of the living prophets, and then allow its members to apply the doctrines of the gospel in their daily lives according to their own choices. Therefore, it is inevitable, at least I see as inevitable, that at times personal opinions and a few misconceptions or misinterpretations might occur at the local level, say in our Sunday school classes and so on. For me, this is what happened when it comes to the issue of race and ethnicity in the church. As a sociologist, I would argue that religions as systems of faith are not racist by nature. People carry in their minds cultural traits and shared beliefs from their larger societies. And so, if you ever met a Latter-day Saint who was admittedly a racist, that person would have been so not because of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but because of his or her adherence to the traditions of the larger society outside of the church. This would have been so whether here in the United States or in my own country, in Brazil, or in South Africa, or anywhere else in the world. In fact, racism, you should be aware of this, racism is not a phenomenon that occurs in black and white relations. We will see racism also occurring between whites and other whites, for example, in the Balkans, or blacks and other blacks, such as in some of the troubled tribal relationships that exist in many parts in the African continent. And I see then the influence of cultural traits and social norms on religious life as almost unavoidable. And it's not a phenomenon that happens only to Latter-day Saints. It happens in all religious denominations. Everybody is subject to that. Even the Prophet Joseph Smith seemed to acknowledge that possibility. And in 1835, he stated that many, having a zeal not according to knowledge and not understanding the pure principles of the doctrine of the church, have no doubt in the heat of enthusiasm taught and said many things which are derogatory to the genuine character and principles of the church. And for these things we are heartily sorry and would apologize if apology would do any good, close quote. So from the mid-1800s until the early June of 1978, no male member of the church with black African ancestry could hold the priesthood. And we could never explain the reason for that priesthood ban, as it is commonly known. Now, because of our modern belief in revelation, the church chose to deal with the priesthood ban by waiting for divine revelation, which came finally in 1978, June 1st, 1978. In the meantime, members and leaders, in a very human way, attempted to find explanations of their own for the existence of the ban. And that led, to the unofficial adoption of pre-existing ideas about the black race that were well known even in other religious denominations. However, those who chose to adopt those traditions did so in opposition to our scriptural stance on race relations, which was stated by Nephi in the Book of Mormon when he wrote that God inviteth them all to come unto him and partake of his goodness. And he denieth none that come unto him, black and white, bond and free, male and female. And he remembereth the heathen, and all are alike unto God, both Jew and Gentile. Some argue that there was no preparation among black Africans, but they said so based on their own opinions, without any evidence, and not in harmony with the revelations of this dispensation, which clearly state that the restored gospel was for all nations, kindreds, tongues, and people, without exception clauses. The revelations given to the prophet Joseph Smith and recorded in the Doctrine and Covenants, establishing the orders of the priesthood in the modern era, are broad and all-inclusive, and meaning that they establish no restrictions. They establish no restrictions on which tribes or which lineages could hold the priesthood in this last dispensation. Often the language in the Doctrine and Covenants clearly states the scope of the revelations in that book, including those that establish the organization of the priesthood, by using terms as every man, or all the world. Therefore, one of the consequences of the 1978 revelation has been the enhanced emphasis on doctrinal accuracy. This is one of the challenges that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints faces now in the beginning of the 21st century. The church, or anyone for that matter, has no control over the flow of information in cyberspace. Anyone can become a quote-unquote informal public affairs officer by creating web pages, blogs, without any supervision from the church. We now understand more than ever the responsibility each one of us has as members of the church to carefully study the scriptures and the words of the currently living prophets. And notice that I'm emphasizing currently living prophets. Okay, so we can make accurate statements about our beliefs. It is easy to use wonderful computerized databases to find quotations from past prophets, but we must check those words against the teachings of the present. It doesn't matter what Brigham Young or John Taylor or any other 19th century prophet ever said or thought about this or that racial or ethnic group. For us, all that matters is that the currently living prophets and apostles, what the currently living prophets and apostles teach about our status and worth as children of God.